Picture this: England, 1912. A boy is born in Maidwale, London, unaware that he would one day change the course of history. His name? Alan Matheson Turing. You may have heard of him as the man who cracked the Nazi Enigma code during World War II. But that's just one chapter of his extraordinary life. What you may not know is this: Alan Turing planted the first seeds of what we now call artificial intelligence. Alan was not like the other children. While his peers played cricket and read adventure stories, young Turing buried his nose in science books and math puzzles. He was fascinated with patterns, numbers, and, more importantly, how things worked. At the age of 6, he was solving problems that baffled adults. At 13, he fell in love with numbers, but also, quietly, with his schoolmate Christopher Morcom, whose sudden death would leave Alan devastated. That grief, however, didn't destroy him. It shaped him. It made him wonder, what makes a mind conscious? What makes anything think? Fast forward to 1936. Alan Turing was now a 24-year-old mathematician at Cambridge. And he did something astonishing. He imagined a machine. Not a machine made of steel or wires, but a machine in theory. A machine that could read instructions, change them, store data, and solve problems. A machine that could do anything. He called it the universal machine. Today, we call it the computer. Turing's paper on computable numbers wasn't just academic, it was visionary. He proposed that thought could be reduced to a sequence of symbols and logic. In other words, he suggested that the human mind itself could be simulated. This wasn't science fiction. This was the foundation of computer science and the philosophical spark of artificial intelligence. As Europe plunged into World War II, the Nazis used a terrifying weapon: secrecy. Their coded messages, scrambled by the Enigma machine, seemed unbreakable. That's when Britain's government turned to a team of codebreakers at a secret facility called Bletchley Park. Among them, Alan Turing. But Alan didn't try to break the code like others did, by hand. He built a machine that could simulate all the possible Enigma settings, test hypotheses, discard wrong answers, and repeat the process at inhuman speed. This machine was called the bomb. And it worked. Historians estimate that Turing's invention shortened the war by 2 to 4 years and saved over 14 million lives. But his contribution remained a secret for decades. After the war, Turing returned to what he loved most: ideas. This time, he asked a daring question: can machines think? In 1950, he published a paper titled Computing Machinery and Intelligence. It began with a bold claim: instead of asking can machines think, we should ask, can a machine play the imitation game? That game became known as the Turing test, the benchmark for artificial intelligence. If a machine could carry on a conversation indistinguishably from a human, then for all intents and purposes, it was intelligent. Turing didn't just talk about machine intelligence. He built the early designs of one. He helped develop the automatic computing engine ACE, one of the world's first stored program computers. Turing dreamed of a future where computers weren't just calculators, but creative, curious entities. He wondered whether machines could write music, compose poetry, or even fall in love. To him, intelligence was not about flesh and blood. It was about logic, language, and learning. Ideas that today drive neural networks, language models, and modern AI. Yet in his own time, most couldn't grasp the scope of what he was imagining. For all his genius, Turing lived in a world that couldn't accept him. In 1952, he was arrested not for espionage or betrayal, but for being gay. Homosexuality was a crime in Britain at the time. Alan Turing was chemically castrated by the government that he helped save. He lost his security clearance. He was publicly humiliated, professionally isolated, and quietly erased. In 1954, at the age of 41, Alan Turing was found dead. A half-eaten apple laced with cyanide lay beside him. Some say it was suicide. Others suspect a tragic accident. What remains unquestioned is this: the world lost a mind that was far ahead of its time. Decades passed. The truth emerged. Turing's work became the bedrock of computer science, artificial intelligence, cryptography, and more. In 2009, British Prime Minister Gordon Brown publicly apologized on behalf of the UK government. In 2013, Queen Elizabeth II granted Turing a posthumous royal pardon. And in 2019, the Bank of England announced that Turing's face would appear on the £50 note, forever embedding him in the currency of history. Today, when we ask Siri a question, when ChatGPT writes code, when machines compose music or diagnose disease, they all echo the questions Turing asked nearly a century ago. What is intelligence? Can it be replicated? Can it be taught to a machine? The AI revolution didn't begin in Silicon Valley or inside a server room. It began in the brilliant, restless mind of a man named Alan Turing. He imagined a world where machines could think. And now, we live in it. Alan Turing never saw the world he helped build. He died in obscurity, his genius underappreciated in his time. But today, he is remembered not just as a war hero or a mathematician, but as the father of artificial intelligence, a man who gave birth to machines that could think, a man whose story teaches us this: sometimes the ones who change the world are the ones the world isn't ready for. Subscribe to CreAI for real stories from the front lines of AI.